During the past months, Facebook has lost more than $232 billion in value. It's Apple's $182 billion market capitalization loss in September 2020 that set the previous record for market capitalization loss in one day. Will Facebook continue to fail? Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg came up with an idea that allowed people all around the world to connect with each other. With Facebook, millions of people have not only been able to communicate and keep in touch with their loved ones, but it has changed the entire social networking landscape. The social media site Facebook is the world's most popular, with over 2 billion users monthly. Many people have questioned Zuckerberg's ethics and morality, and he's considered one of the most brilliant minds of his generation. A few scandals have been reported about him, as well as strange behavior in social interactions, which have made him a bit of a joke. He backstabbed his business partner, sold user data, and incited a genocide. In this video, we will show you why Mark Zuckerberg is more evil than you think. During the decade following Facebook's 2012 IPO, Zuckerberg oversaw the company's rise to prominence, bought Instagram and WhatsApp, and has become one of the world's wealthiest people. The last decade was also filled with scandals, including a psychological experiment that examined how newsfeed changes might affect 70,000 Facebook users without their consent. Throughout the years, Facebook has dealt with a number of challenges, including disinformation, privacy, content moderation issues, and accusations of anti-competitive behavior. In the last decade, Facebook, now known as Meta, has been involved in some of the biggest scandals. In 2014, Facebook came under fire for removing certain words from users' news feeds. In 2012, to test how they reacted to posts after 70,000 unconsenting participants completed psychological tests. Sheryl Sandberg, Facebook's second most powerful executive, apologized for the secret psychological testing. Researchers hid a small percentage of emotional words from people's news feeds without their knowledge, an experiment published in the March issue of Proceedings of the National Academy of Science in order to test how those words affected the statuses or likes they posted. In her statement, Sandberg, the deputy chief executive to Mark Zuckerberg, retreats from its earlier assertion that its terms of service covered the experiment. In light of the secret test, the company faces an investigation by the UK's Information Commissioner, while its publishers have stated that they intend to investigate whether any ethics violations occurred. Generally, psychological tests on humans require consent from their participants, but independent researchers and Facebook disagree over whether their terms of service cover such use. In an effort to tailor ads to users outside of the US, Facebook made its first public comments about the experiments while trying to woo Indian advertisers. According to the government-sponsored study, positive or negative words and messages would influence the content and status updates in a positive or negative way. Researchers determined that people who saw one emotion being expressed would feel the same emotion after tweaking their newsfeed in the social network. The social network received harsh criticism for how it handled the experiment, which was carried out without the user's knowledge and consent, was described as weird, evil, terrifying, and extremely upsetting by various observers and experts. In 2019, Facebook settled privacy concerns over data misuse for a record $5 billion. Cambridge Analytica was one of the most sophisticated allegations made against Facebook. A personality quiz was distributed by Facebook in 2014 to their users. It gathered data not only on the individuals who were taking the quiz, but also on the friends and family of those individuals. In fact, Facebook was able to collect data on 87 million people, 285 times the amount of people who actually took the quiz, even though only 305,000 people had downloaded the app and taken it. In a twist of events, Facebook has turned around and has been alleged that some of this data was sold to Cambridge Analytica, which used it to psychologically profile U.S. voters. However, Cambridge Analytica denies using any of this information to influence the election despite the circumstantial evidence. The fact that Facebook collected data on over 99% of 87 million people who did not even take the personality quiz, whether they did so or not, is already a big deal. Though this was one of Facebook's most well-known scandals, and it has been involved in politics for a long time, and has even been claimed to have played a significant role in Obama's campaign. Although Facebook is not necessarily engaged in the legal activity, they have played a significant role in shaping American politics. Each quarter, they spend millions of dollars on lobbying efforts, and they even hired 65 lobbyists to fight against privacy legislation. The company has also been criticized for multiple security breaches and lackluster encryption technology. In addition to politics, it's also alleged that Facebook has run experiments to test how quickly negative and positive emotions spread. As Facebook admitted in 2018, a bug may have led to the posting of private pictures of 6.8 million users. In the past, Facebook has provided privileged access to their user data to business partners such as Amazon and Netflix. Facebook has also been accused of censoring negative news related to the Democratic Party and is being investigated for that censorship based on the claims of data and influence. There's no doubt that Facebook's security and privacy are of considerable concern. During 2018, Facebook also experienced one of its darkest moments when the country's military officials incited genocide against the Muslim Rohingya minority. In the wake of an open letter that activists from Myanmar sent to Mark Zuckerberg, the chief executive of Facebook, the activists received something unexpected: a response from Mark Zuckerberg himself. 6 civil society organizations representing the activists in the letter, which harshly criticized Mr. Zuckerberg for mischaracterizing Facebook's response to violence inciting messages in Myanmar and for not enforcing the hate speech rules there. After apologizing for misspeaking, Zuckerberg explained steps that Facebook was taking to increase its moderation efforts in an email sent the next day from his personal email address. In his email to the activist group, Zuckerberg made his first direct contact with local groups that have criticized Facebook's role in the country's growing humanitarian crisis. According to the New York Times, human rights groups and United Nations investigators have accused Facebook of supporting violence against Rohingya Muslims because of its platforms spreading anti-Muslim hate speech and false news. It is widely believed that Facebook is a kind of absentee landlord in Myanmar, since there are few moderators and systems to prevent extremists from using Facebook posts to incite violence. Moving on with that, several internal documents were leaked to the Wall Street Journal by a former Facebook employee turned whistleblower in September 2021, which may be Facebook's biggest PR nightmare since the Cambridge Analytica scandal. In addition to highlighting the company's business practices, the series highlights its employees' concerns, management's dismissal of them. The majority of Mark Zuckerberg's activity on Facebook has been about metaverse and engaging in water sports. After one of his former employees turned over tens of thousands of unsettling internal documents to federal regulators, the press and Congress, the founder and CEO, finally addressed the scandal that was engulfed his company over the last month. Several days later, that whistleblower, Frances Haugen, appeared before the Senate Commerce Committee to reveal that Facebook had conducted research that showed that some young users, particularly teenage girls, experience mental health and body image issues that are worsened by Instagram, and that the company's algorithms promote sensationalist content and divisiveness. Frances Haugen, the whistleblower who exposed Facebook's safety violations, later testified before Congress that the company places profits over people's safety and therefore should be regulated. There have been multiple revelations regarding alleged corruption at Facebook since the documents, referred to as the Facebook Papers, were first made public. Today, Harvard experts say that Mark Zuckerberg has continued to derail Facebook over the course of the last few months. There are signs that Mark Zuckerberg's poor leadership skills are slowly dragging Meta down the path of failure, according to a Harvard expert. Bill George, former CEO of Medtronic and senior fellow at Harvard Business School, says Zuckerberg's shortcomings are continuing to derail the tech companies formerly known as Facebook. In a new book titled True North, Leading Authentically in Today's Workplace, Emerging Leader Edition, George has compiled his 20 years of findings on leadership failures in the workplace. George argues that bosses who lose sight of their deepest beliefs, values, and purposes as leaders, especially in the name of fame or money, will fail. He finds striking similarities to Zuckerberg and Meta today after decades of researching high-profile corporate collapses. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg is evil? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.